All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. We are going to get rolling here, and we are going to talk about the University of Michigan Stockholm Internship Program. My name is Alex Paisner, and I am the Director of Enrollment here at Global Experiences. And on the call also is Rachel Crisso. And Rachel, let's see, can you hear us? And why don't you give us a quick intro?
Sure. Yes, I can hear you, Alex. Thanks so much. Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Clisso. I'm in the LSA Opportunity Hub in the LSA building, and I run international internships there. And we're really excited to be adding Sweden to our list of available countries for students to intern at, Michigan students. So Global Experience has been fantastic in working with us, and they're putting this program together just for us. Thanks, Alex.
Absolutely. And thanks for joining, Rachel. And it looks like we've got a pretty good group on the call. We're going to try to keep this to about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll leave a little bit of time for Q&A. But just a little bit of quick background about Global Experiences, just who we are, what we do, and what we believe in. So we've been providing international internships for about 15, 16 years. We work with a lot of universities around the country, but we're really excited to be working a little more formally with the University of Michigan at this stage. In addition to Stockholm, Sweden, we do place students in internships abroad in 10 other cities around the world. And you can kind of see we've been at it for quite a while, so we've built up a pretty decent track record. But before we talk about Stockholm specifically, I want to talk a little bit about some big picture, why it's advantageous to intern abroad in the first place, and start with a little anecdote about Ashley and David here. So Ashley and David, getting set to graduate from college. They thought that they've done everything right. They've got their degree in hand, good grades. They did a whole bunch of extracurriculars. They're checking all the boxes. They've done everything that's expected of them in undergrad. Very quickly, they find out that it's not necessarily enough in today's global employment marketplace, and finding that millions of others are graduating at the same time, the same degree, same GPA, and same relatively limited experience. And so the question is, what can you do to get ahead? And there are some pretty challenging numbers out there. And here are a few statistics for you guys from the Pew Research Center. 14 million or 4 million is the approximate number of undergraduate or university graduates that come out every single year with at least a 2-year degree. When we're talking a bachelor's degree or above, it's 2.8 million recent college grads that come out every single year. There's only about 250,000 entry-level jobs on Indeed.com, and millennials make up approximately 40% of those that are unemployed in the United States. It's obviously been a long way back from the economic recession of 2008, but it's still pretty hard out there for today's college graduate. And that college degree isn't necessarily a guarantee for a great job coming out of undergrad anymore. And so today's new reality is it's not enough to necessarily land that dream job. It is a highly competitive time, and students have obviously a pretty limited window to set their career trajectory on the right track. So it's hard to figure out what you can do during undergrad that is going to be the most impactful, both personally and professionally. And then global skills and practical work experience are more critical than ever before. The workplaces around the world, I mean, today's business is global. The expectations of employers are that you are going to have those global skills and competencies to be able to succeed in the real world. And so Ashley and David know they need to differentiate themselves from the rest, but how can they when everybody is trying to differentiate? Everybody is trying to get that extra thing on their resume, that extra experience. And this is a really interesting quote that we had from one of our alumni who is now an HR manager at a New York City marketing firm. It's really when everyone differentiates, everyone stays the same. She said, we get so many applicants that sometimes we have to turn away people who otherwise would have near perfect applications. And so we did this big alumni survey. We've had about 6,000 alumni do the international internship programs over 16 years. And over that stretch, obviously, we have a lot of people who are now in managerial positions and leadership positions in countries, in companies all around the world. And one of the other themes that we kind of got from this survey is that it's also about direction, not just differentiation. You're going to have that differentiator on your resume that is going to help you stand out, but it's also having experienced the real world and understanding that you have the drive, the belief, the realization that the particular job on the table is exactly right for you, and not necessarily the other way around is what is truly going to differentiate. So the question is, Ashley and David, what are they supposed to do? And how do they stack up? This is a brief kind of visualization to help you guys think about, well, what makes me any different from my peers coming out of the University of Michigan? And so obviously you can see everybody, those with a university degree, the work experience is that expectation. You guys are looking to go abroad, which is fantastic. But to be able to go abroad and have the degree and have international work experience, and ideally a little bit of language skills, that really helps put you into that top category to make you a pretty unique candidate for whatever comes next. And so obviously the pivot point here is global experiences, and the University of Michigan, who have had relationships with their own alumni for years and years, can help students like Ashley and David find direction and a career path most likely to lead to success and a happy life. And so what makes these programs different in particular? The answer is career development. So it's one thing to go abroad and to have an internship. We have a phrase here: your experience is only as good as your ability to communicate it. And so a big part of going abroad and interning is actually having those reflective pieces, saying, well, how do I talk about this? How do I communicate this to a future employer when I get back? How can I maximize this opportunity and have a European employer willing to hop on the phone and vouch for me? Or how can I have this internship lead directly to a job at the company that I'm interning for? So we work with you guys quite a bit one-on-one, and I know the University of Michigan does the same to make sure that you are prepared before you go, that you have prepped for interviews. We're going to give you guys some coaching on networking and put you in a couple of networking opportunities while you're over in Stockholm. And so there's quite a bit that goes into this to really help it come full circle and to have this be something that's truly marketable on your resume for when you return. And so let's talk briefly about Stockholm, this pretty amazing place that we're excited to launch this new program in. Obviously, you can see on the map here, Sweden is up in the north. That's a really big benefit for you guys looking at an internship over the summer. It is, in fact, so far north that the sun doesn't actually set until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. There is an unbelievable amount of sunshine during the summertime. It's a pretty incredible place to be. But I don't know, Rachel, you've been there. Unfortunately, I have not. It's at the top of my list. Why don't you maybe tell us a little bit more about Sweden and your experiences over there?
I will. Yep, I went there for the first time this past early fall, I guess. And I have to say, I was blown away by Sweden, or certainly Stockholm. I did travel around a little bit around the Stockholm area, but I really found Stockholm to be very, very welcoming. I met a lot of Swedish people. I was also talking to some University of Michigan alums that live there. And I found everybody very, very welcoming. I found the pace of life to be very, let's just say, really manageable. It wasn't like it was slow, but it certainly wasn't frenetic. People are busy. They're active. There are a lot of new companies. I saw a lot of kind of activity in really interesting areas. And it's beautiful, apart from anything else. You're surrounded by water. The city was extremely walkable. I had about 6 or 8 appointments over a couple of day period, and I was all set to use the underground system, but I didn't need to. Everything was in walking distance. It was kind of amazing for the size of the city. So I don't know. You've got some great facts here. It is the home of the Nobel Prize, and there's a nice museum in the city center. The smartest city or IT city, probably not it, but IT. And certainly, as I said, I did see a lot of startups there, and IT certainly is one of their really big strong points. Everybody spoke English. So I learned a very tiny amount of Swedish when I was there. And yes, hey it is indeed what they say when they meet people. I did not get to see the Northern Lights, but I know if you guys are there all summer, of course you will, which will be great. Fika is their little snack that they have in the afternoons. Very, very Swedish. Smart design. ABBA. There's a brilliant ABBA museum that you can't miss, which is great. I did not go and to answer disco clubs, but I'm sure you guys will. And yeah, sunlight. You have to have really big blackout curtains on your windows if you want to get any sleep. So it's good. A lot of sunlight. It's great.
Absolutely. And actually, funny story between the techno and disco clubs. The Global Experiences founders, there's a woman named Emily Merson and a guy named Stephen Riley, actually met while they were both pursuing their master's degrees in Sweden back in 1998 or so. So we have Sweden has a special place in our hearts because our company may not have been founded had it not been for our two founders, just circumstance having to meet in Sweden at the time. So, but there's certainly a lot of fun to be had as well. And yes, it really is one of those tech and innovation startup hubs in Europe, almost on par with Dublin, Ireland as well. So there's a lot of great opportunities there. And it's not a gigantic city, as Rachel said. There's a lot of things within walking distance. It's very easy to get around the city. And it's also pretty cool because the city itself is a series of islands. The vast majority are connected via bridge, but there are a lot of waterways that go all throughout the city. There's a lot of green space. In general, the Swedes do place a big emphasis on sustainability. They're very green over there. There's a lot of parks and trees and everything else. During the summer, it's obviously not going to be hot like you would find in Barcelona or elsewhere, but it'll be in the 60s on average. And again, it is going to be a ton of daylight during the summertime. Obviously, you guys aren't going to have to worry about the super depressing 6 hours of sunlight in the wintertime. Beautiful architecture. There is a fascinating dichotomy of the old school meets like really cutting edge new architecture. And there's a lot of really good restaurants all over the city. Not just, your typical Swedish with the Swedish meatballs, but some of the best Thai food you could ever have. You're going to be surprised at the diversity of culinary options over there. And in general, relative to many other places, really low crime. There's not a ton of like societal issues over there. Sweden really has its act together in general. So it's a pretty awesome place. We don't have to go too in-depth here, but there are some pretty cool neighborhoods. There's the Old Town. There are some newer districts that are really, home to the telecom giants in the IT industry. You've got your, regular old suburbs, but then also you do have a series of islands and archipelagos that are just off the coast of the city that you can go to that have some really unique wildlife and a number of refuge centers and, some really cool stuff to explore on the weekends. And this is just some other random stuff about Sweden because why not help you guys visualize a little bit more. Apparently professional choirs are a big thing over there. They don't on average drink a ton of alcohol. They are very holistic and they can enjoy having a good time without having a ton to drink. Smart casual tends to be the standard around Stockholm. They're very well dressed. They're really well groomed in general, and of course they're pretty religious about ice hockey and rugby are kind of the two big sports. Affordable culture. There are a lot of free festivals, especially in the summertime, that you guys will be able to go and check out. Most of the museums are free over there. It is a little bit expensive when we're talking about on average the rent, food, alcohol, some other things, but kind of tends to even out somewhere in the middle. And then the festivals in particular, we did want to highlight here because again, that is one of the big draws to Stockholm and Sweden in general in the summertime. These are just a couple of the events that go on over there that you would be able to check out in your free time when you're not in your internship. And then there's a lot, the actual economy itself, 85% is related to service industries. So there's a booming high-tech industry. A lot of kind of big multinationals have European headquarters in Stockholm. The average work week is only about 35 hours. They take nice long lunch breaks. They really like to appreciate their work-life balance. They get 25 vacation days a year and a ludicrous number of paid parental leave days for both parents, 480. So again, they really place an emphasis on that work-life balance, and you'll kind of see that reflected in your internship. So let's talk briefly just about the actual program for this upcoming summer. Rachel will be able to talk a little bit more in depth because I know that there are a few opportunities that may be available independent of global experiences and the matchmaking process that we do. But the program is looking to be like, it will take place over an 8-week period from May 20th until July 15th. The program price here is $7,490, and we'll talk briefly what that includes versus is not. Obviously, we've partnered with the University of Michigan to, to start this program. And Rachel will be also able to talk a little bit about the deadline of December 1st, which is obviously coming up very soon. And then just potential day trips. That's one of the inclusions of our normal programs is we'll take you guys on a couple of trips here and there and some meetups to help you guys see a unique side of the city, really start to experience the culture and living like a local when you're over in Stockholm. A couple of the major career fields. Obviously, you can see that there's quite a few different opportunities here. In particular, in Stockholm, particularly strong career fields are things like information technology, which we've talked about. International business is great. We're also focusing quite a bit on government, politics, a lot of good NGOs and nonprofits, and a handful of other industries, but these are kind of the big ones, as you would imagine. On ground programming, I just touched upon that briefly. Every week or two, you're going to have something unique and active, not just sitting on a tour bus, but actually helping you guys get out there and see a unique side of the city to really help you feel at home. And then here's just a quick list of all the things that are included in the regular programs. A lot of what we do before you go is that professional development, again, getting you ready to maximize the opportunity, working with you guys on your resumes and cover letters, getting those up to par for a European employer and their expectations, helping you guys prep for the interviews when the time comes a little bit later in the springtime, and basically, making sure that you are in a position to really maximize this opportunity, network with your employer and the connections that you make through it, and come back with something pretty eye-popping on your resume. And so let's talk very briefly. What about Ashley and David? Ashley and David weren't hypothetical stick figures. Ashley and David were actual participants on the GE programs. They both interned in London in particular, but Ashley was a junior at the George Washington University in DC. She interned in finance at a place called the Economic Policy Group, and she graduated last year, and she's now working at Ernst & Young in New York. Her quote here is something that I really like. She said, "I loved London. My internship was great, but it was also a lot of work. The experience taught me how to work with different types of personalities and management styles. Along with all of the skills I learned, the experience taught me a lot about myself and how I handle challenges." Now, I really like this quote from Ashley because it really speaks to what this program is all about, where University of Michigan, Global Experiences, we will provide you guys that foot in the door, that opportunity with an employer over in Stockholm, and we'll set you up with the housing, and we'll provide you that support structure. But it is a big step to move abroad and to live in a foreign country for 2 months. For a lot of you guys, this may be your first or second internship. All of those firsts and those challenges get compounded when you're actually living in a foreign country. So it is obviously fun, and this is a life-changing opportunity, but it's also going to be a lot of work, and it is what you make of it. So Ashley clearly made the most of her opportunity and was able to come back and turn that into a job immediately after she got back. It will be up to you to make sure that you earn the trust of your employer, that you warrant more responsibilities in your internship, and that you leave your internship with the connections that are going to help lead you to where you want to be down the road. And David has a similar quote here. He was a pre-law major at the University of Houston. He interned at a law firm in immigration law, and now he's at Georgetown Law School. He kind of had a similar quote here about how we're going to set you up. It's really going to be up to you guys to maximize the opportunity. NGE alumni now work for all kinds of different organizations out there. This quick list here was simply, I hopped on our LinkedIn alumni page that all of our alumni get invited to after the program. And within 5 minutes, just kind of click, 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 was able to get these together. So obviously, this has the potential to be a pretty significant professional stepping stone for you guys. And Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about how it works in relation to the University of Michigan and LSA specifically?
Yes, I will. Thanks, Alex. So the LSA International Internship Program has been around for quite a while, and we do work with U of M alumni to place students, and we also work with great companies like Global Experiences because we know them and trust them and know that you guys will have not only a great experience whilst you're abroad, but also will have all that framing around it so that when you get back, you're going to really be able to use this on your career path. I did want to mention one thing about that price tag you saw there, which might be a little scary to some of you, maybe not, but I did want to mention that we do have scholarships. If you're an LSA student and you do receive financial aid, we do have scholarships, and I do know that other schools and colleges also and departments do have summer internship scholarships. So I urge everybody to stop by our office, which you can see we're in the LSA building there. 1100 LSA building, and we have office hours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the afternoons. There's some peer advising, and you can come in and ask us anything you want about this, how to apply, how to get funding, and anything else, what type of job you should be looking for, any kind of advice. We do have our deadline, which is December 1st, and which is coming right up. That does not bind you to do anything once you fill that out. If you're interested in doing it, then I strongly encourage you to go ahead and apply. There's no application fee on our end at the University of Michigan. So you could just kind of start the process. And Alex, perhaps you can tell me at what point a Michigan student would have to put down a deposit for this coming summer.
Yeah, great question. So the way that this will work with our step-by-step process, you would apply through the University of Michigan first, through a link that we actually might have in this next slide here. Perfect. So if you guys maybe want to write that down or take a quick screen cap on your computers, that is the link, which I think will have the formal application starting tomorrow or Thursday. So your first step will be to fill that out. And then also, once you've been in contact with Rachel, we'll have you quickly fill out the Global Experiences application up on our site, just so we can take a look at how you look on paper. And if you meet the requirements for the University of Michigan, and you were able to get approved for the program, that is the stage at which typically we will ask for a financial commitment in the form of a deposit, which I think we might have to double check. It's either $500 or $1,000, but it would be part of that total. And that would be the point at which you are officially on board. And we would start working with you with some of the pre-departure prep, some of that career development coaching that we do with you guys, and would also invite you to a Stockholm pre-departure portal that'll have a whole bunch of specific resources for your program to help you get ready over the next few months.
Great. And I want to add one more thing, Alex, if I may, and that is if anybody's interested in getting credit for this, I know that sometimes it's great to have an international internship actually on your transcript. There is a class, ALA, Applied Liberal Arts 225, which you can take for 1 credit if you do an internship. So you can actually kind of have, really see it as part of your education because it can be on your transcript.
Fantastic. All right. And that's pretty much all we've got for you. And if you've got questions, feel free. You should be able to either type them into the chat box or raise your hand. and we'd be happy to run through any questions that you guys do have. But in terms of your main point of contact at the University of Michigan, it does start with Rachel here, and her email is right here on this slide. So feel free to write that down. But yeah, feel free to type in any questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. All right, looks like we've got a good question from Melissa here. Her question is, I see the deadline's December 1st. When should I apply? Good question, Melissa. The answer is really as soon as possible. The sooner we are able to take a look at your background, ensure that you meet the GPA and general requirements for the University of Michigan, the quicker we'll be able to confirm that we can place you and ultimately accept you into the program. All right, and then we've got one from Geet here. Do I have to apply and be accepted by the International Internship Program in general before I can apply for this specific internship? Good question, Geet. So the way that this works is you would apply to the program for your desired career field. So if you are into information technology, you would apply for that industry. And if either the University of Michigan or us had enough opportunities that we could guarantee you an internship within your career field, then we would accept you into the program. And in essence, the program works similarly to almost like a recruiting firm, where we would send you out to a number of potential employers and have you interview with those employers before confirming your specific internship. But yes, if you're accepted into the program, typically it means that we're able to guarantee you an internship within your career field, and then we'll get you out to specific companies after that. Let's see, we've got a good question here. I'm currently a sophomore. Is it too soon to consider this type of internship? That's a great question. I will defer to Rachel on this one. Typically, from what we see on our end, is the earlier a student is able to qualify, the earlier they can have the international work experience on their resume. But what are your thoughts, Rachel?
Yeah, I'm completely fine with sending sophomores abroad. I send freshmen abroad if they're ready. I think really the answer to the question is, do you feel ready to go and live and work in another culture? And if you do, then, and don't forget, you're going to have a lot of support while you're doing that, then you're ready. And I do not think it's too soon at all. If you feel ready, then you're ready. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think the only question there would be, as a sophomore, whether you have the coursework or any applicable work experience quite yet. It depends on what industry you might be interested in. Some industries like finance, the expectations are a little higher for employers, whereas things like marketing or event planning may be open to taking someone who is a little bit earlier on, but everything is very custom tailored. So we would be interested to hear about your background specifically, and would give you our 2 cents pretty quickly here.
Looks like Geet might be a freshman. What are your thoughts on that, Alex? I feel like it's a level of maturity and experience, and again, job family where you're trying to be, as to whether does Global Experiences accept freshmen?
That is a good question. We do occasionally accept freshmen. So yes, and it looks like if you are interested in business, I think, yeah, we would want to hear what experiences, just life and otherwise, you have, and what you would be potentially looking for. But if you're looking to gain some exposure to, an international business environment in Stockholm, then the answer may be yes. Again, we'll want to have you apply and check out how you look on paper so far. And what we like to do normally is have a 30-minute phone interview to get to know you a little bit more. And if you're checking off all the boxes and your expectations are fairly open for just being a first-year student, then there may be some very good opportunities out there. But yeah, I always advocate, if you're in a position to do this earlier in your college career, obviously you're going to come back with international work experience, and that's going to look so good to whatever next employer you're applying to or for that grad school. So if you can do this after freshman and sophomore year, and that opens up the doors to do 2 or 3 unbelievable things before you graduate rather than just 1 or 2, it's pretty advantageous. Great. Any other questions? All right. Well, I think if that's all we've got, in terms of the next steps, I'll point you back to the previous slide here. That's going to be your next step, is hopping back onto the University of Michigan website, and you should be able to explore the application in the next day or 2. And then from there, we also recommend hopping onto the Global Experiences website, completing our quick form as well. I work with all University of Michigan students, and so I'll see a pop up on my radar if and when that happens, and then we would be able to set up that quick 30-minute phone interview to confirm the program would be a good fit. And then, obviously we'll defer to the University of Michigan and their application process to determine if we would have some good opportunities out there for you. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. It looks like we have made some pretty good time, and we have recorded this webinar as well. And so we are going to be getting it up onto YouTube probably tomorrow. So if you've got friends that aren't sure what to do with their summer plans, and this sounds pretty awesome, feel free to send the link their way. But we will look forward to being in contact with you all. And if you have any further questions, again, here is Rachel's email address, and mine is pretty easy. It's Alex, ALEX, @globalexperiences.com. Always happy to field questions that you guys have. Thanks again. We will look forward to being in touch.
And Alex, can I add that don't forget we have open office hours, walk-in office hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 to 3 in the Opportunity Hub for anybody who would like to stop by.
That's right. Easiest thing in the world is just to stop by, say hey, and have a chat with Rachel about the program. I'm sure we'll be happy to work with you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Alex.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.